As I said, we're going to use our pelican pail for these tight areas up near the house. I don't want to use the big roller close here. We'll just brush here. Actually, I don't think I need the roller, but I'm going to get a little bit in between these cracks. I'm going to get underneath the house here. You know, again, cutting around your edges with this small tools, and then we'll use the big 9-inch roller to lay the majority of the material down. I just hate to brush this whole floor. It's just so much material. So we're going to use the roller to apply the material to the wood. We're going to use our brushes to push it into the cracks between the boards. And we'll use our large brush to, and again, we could use the roller pan, or we could use the bucket grid, and I'm going to do 2 boards this time. And again, I'm just delivering this material. I'm not going too fast. I don't want to throw this everywhere. Not really pushing on the roller. Just let it ride on its own weight. We don't want to squeeze it dry. See a little crack here and there. We might want to work that in with a brush. And again, you don't have to work the 1-time in if you use a 1/4-inch nap roller, but if you use a 3/8, we want to at least back brush it 1 time, so you can really see how heavy this is laying it on. But that's 1 dip of the roller, and we've almost got the whole 2 boards here. And we discussed, we're doing this a little out of order. We don't have the spindles done on this side, but we want to go ahead and show how to apply to these floorboards. And again, I'm doing 2 at a time. Now I did get on the other board here. I don't want to do that. Any other stain than 1-time wood protector, that would be a problem. The 1-time, it'll blend in. But I still try to be neat and just do 2 boards. Now I'm rolling back through there once my roller's dried out, getting some of that liquid off of there. I'm gonna lay my roller down, I'm gonna grab my brush, and I've got to push it in between the cracks because we don't have material down in there. Now you can see I've got a little extra material. See how I'm brushing this away, but we're actually brushing it off the board and down into the cracks. And I'm going to just work on this side facing me. Just grab some material, push it into the crack. And boy, it's nice to just use this pole. You're standing. It's easy to get it back in there. I'm going to go back the other way, and I'm going to focus on this board facing me, angle the brush a little bit more. You can use a small brush on a pole, but you can also just use this large deck coater. And again, now we'll just take 1 long sweep, moving this material. See, we had a little extra material there, so we'll go ahead and push that out. I'm going to do the same thing on this next board. I'll take any of this excess liquid and just brush it out into the cracks. This is easy business here. Maybe look at this crack real quick. And now we need our small roller for under the bench. And again, every project's different, but this will just show how a combination of tools, and again, any other stain, we really would have a danger of a lap mark. That's one of the most unique things about the 1-time. It just blends in with itself. And again, I'm using my small roller just to get that material on. I got a little heavy on that edge, but I want to push that in between the boards. As much as you can with the roller. Just take the brush, and again, using some of this material we laid here for our cut in and in between the boards, and then a final brush on the surface. Really working this under this crack under here. Again, we wish you had some sealer on there before the bench was put in, but most of the time the deck's already built by the time the painter gets here. So we don't have an opportunity to coat not only the back of the boards, but no saw cuts. We've got all kinds of raw wood that can get moisture in. So you always want to back prime or back coat any wood before construction if you won't be able to access that wood after the deck is built. Again, just brushing in between. Like I say, most of the time you won't have to add material, but for brushing between, but if your brush gets too dry, go ahead and Get a brush full, and then again, we'll just brush this, let that soak for a minute, brush that out into the rest. And I'm certainly probably over brushing this, but boy, I'm just actually enjoying seeing it go on this wood. One time it's so translucent and we see these different grain colors and patterns. You won't see that with most of your typical big box type of stains. Now, while we're here, we could go ahead and do this area under the bench for our next board rather than going back at the other end and starting. So I'm going to do a little cut in here. Get it out where I can get my 9-inch roller in here. Do a little bit of this underneath. Again, brush, roll. I should grab my roller here. I'm getting kind of tedious here with this brush. Again, you can't really go wrong. Just get the color on the wood, brush out any heavy liquid, and move on. I would have liked to have done this floor before the bench was put in, but we'll work around it. Okay. And as we discussed, we're going to do 2 boards at a time. So again, now that we're past this bench, just roll this with this small roller rather than trying to get the big roller underneath here. Again, and I'll use my small brush for between the boards. While I'm here. Nothing wrong with cross brushing if you've got some screw holes or cracks in the wood. The one time will generally wick in. This stuff just penetrates and keeps soaking and wicking out, but it's always good to brush it in a little bit as well. Now I'll set my Pelican over here so when we get up to the house, we'll have that to cut in. And we'll roll a couple more boards. And again, you can use the pan, you can use the tray. I'm not going to roll all the way to that other because I got a lot of, I'm just going to roll this out, kind of empty out the roller a little bit, and you see the section we're doing. This is a 16-foot board, and that's almost 1 roller dip for 2 boards. That's probably plenty of material. Again, just tapping our brush. I don't need a lot of material on this brush for brushing between the boards, if any at all. So I've got a lot of material on the top. But again, I'm going to focus on this one board I'm facing, and then I'll come back and do the reverse side. Okay. Again, just sweeping this stuff in here, really. Sweeping it from the board. Sweep it in. Work back both directions. Again, just a little bit of angle. This is a nice long bristled brush. These bristles will go way down in there and get that side. And again, not flooding and wasting material, but just grab a little off the surface and work it in. And then we got to do our next board back. My brush is dry a little. Again, just barely a little bit of material in there, and I'm going to hit this crack. And again, laid that material there, so I'm going to push this in. You can see how wet this is staying. I mean, it's not drying and lap marking, so this spot where I put a little too heavy, I'll go back and brush that through. Again, now I'll focus on the one side with that angle, focus back at this angle. Now I can't really see the side that's away from me, so I need to know that I'm covering the board. So I need to just do it systematically, section at a time. Again, you see we're brushing this liquid out. You don't see a lot of liquid on the surface. Not really, like I say, not dry brushing, but really pushing that out. And boy, you can see that grain popping out of this wood. And again, I have my large roller pan, you know, I'm throwing the brush in there. You can throw it down on the cardboard. And then we'll grab our small, I don't even need the roller here. I think I'm just going to use the brush, getting up under the house here. Again, we can do these first, last, in between. We'll go ahead and do 2 more since we're going to do 2 more boards coming back. So while I'm here, you know, while I got the brush in my hand, just brush this section in. I'm going slow here. This is white siding. I mean, it's easy to splash this if you flick a brush. Just keeping the brush on the surface and just kind of gently wiggling it in here. And again, this may not be a typical application for many homeowners. I'm actually putting a little one time on this concrete just to color it so it won't be visible, you know, from away from the deck. And it is warm out. So one nice thing about one time, you can put it on about any temperature, up to 100 degrees even, although it's best not to put it on in direct sun. It's not going to be very pleasant to work in, number one, and we like this stuff to soak in as long as it can before the sun starts curing it and actually cures and hardens in the wood. So I'd rather be around 70, 75 degrees if I can. Later part of the day when the sun goes down, or beat the sun in the morning. I'm sweating bad here. And then we'll get our roller. Again, just moving everything back as we go. Just keep progressing along. Again, I'm holding my roller vertically as I come out of here, no drips. I'm going to touch the board, you know, not right up here because I've got a lot of material in here. So let's touch it back here and just kind of roll this whole distance, getting the majority of the stuff off. Then we'll start spreading it a little bit. Come on out to our edges. I can actually kind of even push that roller a little bit heavy. I'm getting detailed now, but push that little roller a little heavy on the corners and we can get in those cracks a little bit with some material. And then again, just don't really have to roll it all. We're going to come back with that brush and move this around. So we're going to get it, speed it up a little bit here, and two people's always good on a deck project because of the different jobs you have. And again, we're going to push in between the board, long even strokes, back and forth. Just grab some material off the top and push it in there. Again, this back angle, back and forth, grabbing some material from the surface, and then one nice long stroke. Hit this board again now. Some of the first boards, we go back to the first board, it's actually lost its shine. It's already soaked in. You can see it lightening up a little bit. I don't really want to go back and put more material on. We know we've put enough on. It's soaked in. So don't have a tendency to go back and touch up areas. If you miss something, sure, go back, but be very careful about recoating. This is a one coat product. Once it goes in the wood and starts curing, you don't want to put a second coat on it. I really should have my knee pads on. If you've got a lot of work to do, if you're going to do it all from a brush or from a sitting position, you could use a pad applicator. If we didn't have this large of a deck and all this obstruction, we might just brush it all, and I might have my knee pads on. But we've got a lot of deck here, so This certainly justifies the extra tools and equipment, and that's what's going to save you time. It's worth the investment in the right tools. Have everything you need. Probably a combination of mini roller, a 9-inch roller, maybe a pad applicator. We've even got 16-inch pad applicators. If this deck didn't have the benches and it was a lot larger, get a 16-inch pad applicator. We'll use a 22-inch tray. Again, just delivering the materials, the principle we want to impart here. Deliver the material, work it into the cracks between the boards, any places you have saw cuts, spread it out with a brush, and don't over apply it. It's easy stuff to put on though. Well, we've reviewed one-time wood protector for every year for the last few years. We're continuing to get great reviews from clients across the country. I want to emphasize again, this is our product of choice for exterior deck care, both for longevity, for ease of maintenance, low chemistry maintenance. We just use a simple detergent to recoat. Most of our clients are recoating for color at about 4 or 5 years. The wood is absolutely protected for several years, so you have a range of time when you can redo your deck and refresh color. If you need information on any of the products we discussed, the cleaners, the tools, just visit our website at PaintSource.net. We've tried to feature these products and show them the best we can. These are products and tools we've used over the years on our jobs as contractors, and now we look for better tools and ways to do things like we did today. A particular deck has a lot of tedious areas, spindles, benches, going to get underneath. So again, a pad applicator may be appropriate for some of this. A roller for some, a brush. Just deliver the material to the surface, spread it out, and let it dry. You'll have great long-lasting protection. I'm Doug Wilson. We'll see you next time.